The work known as Universal Metaphysics by the Count of Saint-Germain is enigmatic and surrounded by mystery, much like the figure of the Count himself. Saint-Germain was an 18th century European nobleman who was reputed to be an alchemist, adventurer, diplomat, and a man of esoteric knowledge. His writings, including those on metaphysics, are often considered to be steeped in the mystical and the occult. The Count of Saint-Germain is said to have lived across centuries, a claim that contributes to the mythos around him. He was an intriguing figure who moved in high social circles and was known for his apparent agelessness and wisdom. His supposed works on metaphysics reflect his broader interests in alchemy, the nature of reality, and esoteric wisdom. Saint-Germain's metaphysical views often touch upon the idea that reality is not confined to the material world. He posited that the universe is a complex interplay of physical and spiritual dimensions. This view aligns with many mystical traditions that see the material world as only a fraction of the totality of existence. A key theme in universal metaphysics is the interconnectedness of all things. This notion can be likened to the idea of the great chain of being, where everything in the universe is connected in a hierarchical structure from the most base to the most divine. Drawing from his reputed background as an alchemist, Saint-Germain's metaphysics often include the theme of transformation, both literal and symbolic. Alchemy, in his view, is not just about transforming base metals into gold, but about the spiritual transformation of the individual. Saint-Germain emphasized the power of the mind and spirit in shaping reality. He believed that through spiritual development and mental discipline, individuals could transcend ordinary limitations and gain deeper insights into the nature of the universe. His writings are imbued with esoteric knowledge, drawing on various mystical traditions. This includes insights from Hermeticism, Kabbalah, and other occult sciences. He often suggested that true wisdom and understanding come from inner illumination and direct experience of the divine. By examining universal metaphysics through triadic patterns, we can see how Saint-Germain's concepts of interconnectedness, balance, transformation, and integration align with our logical structures, offering a deeper understanding of his metaphysical worldview. In universal metaphysics, Saint-Germain posits that the physical and spiritual realms coexist and are interconnected. This can be seen as the physical realm, spiritual realm, and the correspondence between them. The relationship emphasizes the mutual influence and balance between these realms. Saint-Germain emphasizes the coexistence and interconnectedness of the physical and spiritual realms. He writes, "The material and the immaterial are but two sides of the same coin, reflecting and influencing each other in the dance of existence." In this triad, the physical realm and the spiritual realm are seen as mutually influencing each other. Furthermore, their interconnectedness is evident in how changes in one realm can affect the other. This interconnectedness forms a harmonious triad where each element supports and reinforces the others, creating a balanced state of coexistence. Saint-Germain's teachings on the coexistence of the physical and spiritual realms underscore the importance of recognizing and honoring the interconnectedness of all aspects of existence. The lesson here is to cultivate a holistic worldview where material and spiritual pursuits are seen as complementary rather than separate. By acknowledging this interconnectedness, one can achieve a more balanced and fulfilling life, appreciating the interplay between physical actions and spiritual growth. Saint-Germain discusses the importance of maintaining equilibrium between dualities such as light and dark, material and immaterial. He states, "In the grand tapestry of the universe, each thread of darkness finds its counterpoint in light, achieving a balance that sustains the whole." This triad represents the equilibrium between these dualities. When one aspect is in balance, it helps maintain the balance of the others. Conversely, an imbalance in one aspect leads to an overall disruption of equilibrium, highlighting the delicate interplay required to sustain harmony. Saint Germaine often discusses the balance between opposing forces such as light and dark, or material and immaterial. In this context, the negations represent the equilibrium between these dualities, suggesting that imbalance in one aspect leads to imbalance in the others. The emphasis on maintaining equilibrium between dualities teaches the necessity of balance in all aspects of life. The implication is that spiritual well-being requires harmony between opposing forces, such as light and dark, action and rest, material and immaterial. The lesson is to strive for balance in everyday actions and thoughts, recognizing that imbalance in one area can affect overall harmony and spiritual health. In his work, Saint Germaine highlights the reinforcing nature of spiritual transformation. He writes, "The path to enlightenment is a spiral of continuous growth, where each step forward reinforces the steps before and after. This triad argues that spiritual transformation leads to higher consciousness, which in turn leads to a deeper understanding of the universe. This deeper understanding then reinforces the need for further transformation, creating a self-sustaining cycle of spiritual growth and development. The process of spiritual transformation leads to higher consciousness, which in turn leads to a deeper understanding of the universe, reinforcing the need for continuous transformation." This cyclical reinforcement aligns with Saint Germain's views on personal and spiritual growth. The reinforcing nature of spiritual transformation suggests that each step on the spiritual path strengthens the next. This triad implies that continuous personal growth and learning create a self-sustaining cycle of improvement. The lesson is to engage actively in practices that foster spiritual development, understanding that progress in one area will reinforce and enhance progress in others. Saint Germaine warns of the dangers of misdirection in spiritual practice. He asserts a misguided step on the spiritual path can lead one further from the truth, creating a feedback loop of confusion and stagnation. If spiritual practice is misdirected, it leads to a lack of transformation, which in turn hinders further progress, creating a cycle of negative feedback that prevents true spiritual advancement. In metaphysical practices, incorrect approaches or misunderstandings lead to lack of transformation, and this feedback loop continues, hindering spiritual growth. The negative feedback loop in misdirected spiritual practice highlights the dangers of straying from the true path. This triad implies that incorrect practices or misunderstandings can lead to a cycle of confusion and stagnation. The lesson is to seek proper guidance and remain vigilant about the direction of one's spiritual efforts, ensuring that they are aligned with true wisdom and insight. Saint Germaine often speaks about the influence of higher spiritual planes on our consciousness and the material world. He writes, "The higher realms cast their light upon our minds, shaping our thoughts and actions, which in turn mold the physical world." This causal triad illustrates how the higher spiritual planes influence our consciousness, which then affects the material world. If the influence from the higher planes is absent, the material world lacks the spiritual guidance necessary for growth. Saint Germaine suggests that higher spiritual planes influence our consciousness, which in turn affects the material world. If there is no influence from the higher planes, the material world lacks the spiritual infusion. The causal relationship between higher planes and the material world underscores the profound impact of spiritual realms on our consciousness and physical existence. The implication is that spiritual insights and higher consciousness directly shape our reality. The lesson is to cultivate a connection with higher spiritual planes through meditation, prayer, and other practices, allowing their influence to guide and uplift one's life. The idea of the soul's return to its divine source is central to Saint Germain's Metaphysics. He says, all beings originate from the divine source and must eventually return to it, completing the circle of existence. This reversion triad depicts the journey of the soul. If understanding is missing, it disrupts the return to the source. Conversely, reaching the source ensures the completion of the spiritual journey. The journey of the soul involves returning to its source. If one aspect, such as understanding, is missing, it disrupts the return to the source. The concept of returning to the divine source emphasizes the cyclical nature of existence and the soul's journey. This triad implies that all beings are inherently connected to the divine and are on a path back to this source. The lesson is to remain aware of this ultimate goal and to engage in practices that align with this journey, fostering a sense of purpose and direction in life. Saint Germaine describes spiritual growth as a non-linear process. He notes, the path to enlightenment is often winding and unpredictable, with insights and revelations coming in unexpected ways. This nonlinear triad shows how direct experiences can lead to enlightenment, which then brings wisdom. Without direct experiences, enlightenment cannot occur, illustrating the unpredictable nature of spiritual development. Spiritual growth does not always follow a linear path. Direct experiences lead to enlightenment, which then brings wisdom. Without direct experiences, enlightenment cannot occur. The non-linear nature of spiritual growth teaches that enlightenment is not a straightforward path. This triad implies that spiritual progress often involves unexpected turns and insights. The lesson is to be open to the unpredictability of the spiritual journey, embracing each experience as an opportunity for growth, and recognizing that insights can come from unexpected places. Reflection is crucial for spiritual understanding, according to Saint Germaine. He writes, through reflecting on our experiences, we gain wisdom and insight, enabling us to grow spiritually. This retrospective triad highlights the importance of reflection. Without it, true understanding and wisdom cannot be achieved, emphasizing the need for introspection on the spiritual journey. Reflecting on past experiences is crucial for spiritual growth. Without reflection, true understanding and wisdom cannot be achieved. The importance of reflection in achieving spiritual understanding suggests that introspection is crucial for growth. This triad implies that without reflecting on past experiences, true wisdom cannot be attained. The lesson is to regularly engage in reflective practices such as journaling or meditation to gain deeper insights and learn from one's experiences. Saint Germaine advocates for a holistic integration of knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual practices. He states, true understanding comes from embracing the entirety of existence, seeing the interconnectedness of all things. This inclusive triad reflects how integrating different aspects of spirituality leads to a comprehensive understanding. Each part supports and includes the others, creating a unified whole. The holistic integration of knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual practices leads to a comprehensive understanding where each part supports and includes the others. The inclusive nature of holistic integration emphasizes the need to embrace all aspects of spiritual knowledge and practice. This triad implies that a comprehensive approach leads to a richer and more complete understanding. The lesson is to be inclusive in one's spiritual pursuits, integrating various teachings and practices to create a well-rounded and profound spiritual foundation. Isolation in spiritual practice can lead to stagnation, according to Saint Germaine. He notes, neglecting essential aspects of spirituality creates a void, hindering true growth. This exclusive triad shows how neglecting key elements leads to a lack of transformation. When multiple elements are missing, the ultimate goal cannot be achieved, highlighting the need for a balanced and inclusive approach. Isolation or neglect of certain spiritual practices leads to a lack of transformation. When key elements are missing, the ultimate goal cannot be achieved. The dangers of isolation in spiritual practice highlight the importance of a balanced approach. This triad implies that neglecting key aspects of spirituality can lead to stagnation and hindered growth. The lesson is to avoid an overly narrow focus, ensuring that all essential elements of spiritual practice are included and balanced, promoting overall well-being and progress. The unity of mind, body, and spirit is essential for spiritual growth, as emphasized by Saint Germaine. He writes, "The harmonious alignment of mind, body, and spirit creates a foundation for true enlightenment." This conjoined triad represents how each aspect, mind, body, spirit, supports the others. When these elements are in harmony, they create a conjoined system that fosters growth and understanding. The unity of mind, body, and spirit is central to Saint Germaine's teachings. Each aspect of mind, body, and spirit supports the others, creating a conjoined system of growth and understanding. The unity of mind, body, and spirit as essential for spiritual growth implies that these elements must be harmonized. This triad suggests that each aspect supports and enhances the others. The lesson is to cultivate practices that address all three areas, such as yoga, meditation, and mindful living, to achieve holistic growth and harmony. Saint Germain warns about obstacles that create bottlenecks in spiritual growth. He asserts, "Without addressing the blockages in our spiritual path, we cannot progress towards enlightenment." This bottleneck triad shows how missing elements create a bottleneck in growth. This blockage then affects the other elements, illustrating the need to overcome obstacles to achieve spiritual progress. When key elements of spiritual practice are missing, it creates a bottleneck in overall growth. This blockage then affects the other elements. The bottleneck created by missing elements in spiritual practice underscores the need to address obstacles. This triad implies that unresolved issues can hinder overall progress. The lesson is to identify and overcome blockages in one's spiritual path, seeking help and guidance when needed to ensure continuous growth and development. Saint Germain emphasizes the harmony between different elements of existence. He states, "When the elements of mind, body, and spirit are in harmony, they resonate with the divine, creating a state of perfect balance." This harmonic triad shows how the harmony between two elements, e.g. mind and body A and B, leads to a balanced spiritual state. This balance supports overall well-being and spiritual growth. Saint Germain emphasizes the harmony between different elements of existence. When the two elements, mind and body, are in harmony, they lead to a balanced spiritual state. The harmony between different elements of existence emphasizes the importance of balance and alignment. This triad implies that achieving harmony leads to a state of well-being and spiritual resonance. The lesson is to strive for harmony in all areas of life, fostering balance between mind, body, and spirit to create a harmonious and fulfilling existence. Disharmony in spiritual practice leads to confusion and lack of progress, according to Saint Germain. He writes, "When the elements of our being are in discord, it creates a state of confusion that hinders our spiritual journey." This dissonant triad represents how disharmony leads to confusion, perpetuating further spiritual issues. Disharmony in spiritual practice leads to confusion and lack of progress, which perpetuates further spiritual issues. The effects of disharmony on spiritual progress highlight the need to address and resolve conflicts. This triad implies that disharmony leads to confusion and hinders growth. The lesson is to be aware of and address sources of discord in one's life, seeking to restore balance and harmony to promote clarity and spiritual advancement. Converging different spiritual practices leads to a holistic understanding, as noted by Saint Germaine. He states, by uniting various paths and teachings, we can achieve a more complete understanding of the divine. This convergent triad reflects how integrating different practices leads to a more comprehensive and unified spiritual understanding. Converging different spiritual practices and insights leads to a more holistic understanding and growth, where each practice enhances the others. The convergence of different spiritual practices into a unified whole implies that integration leads to greater understanding. This triad suggests that bringing together various teachings and practices can create a more comprehensive spiritual framework. The lesson is to embrace diverse spiritual paths and integrate them, allowing their combined wisdom to enhance and deepen one's spiritual journey. Saint Germaine warns against the fragmentation of spiritual beliefs. He writes, "A divided approach to spirituality leads to confusion and stagnation, preventing true growth." This divergent triad shows how fragmented beliefs lead to a breakdown in understanding, highlighting the importance of a coherent and unified spiritual path. When spiritual beliefs and practices are fragmented, it leads to a breakdown in overall understanding and growth. The fragmentation of spiritual beliefs underscores the importance of coherence and unity. This triad implies that divided beliefs lead to confusion and hindered progress. The lesson is to seek a coherent and unified approach to spirituality, avoiding fragmentation by integrating beliefs and practices into a consistent and harmonious framework. Saint Germain advocates for the blending of different teachings to gain new insights. He notes, combining diverse spiritual teachings can lead to revelations that transcend individual paths. This combination triad shows how blending different teachings leads to new insights, resulting in a richer and more diverse spiritual understanding. Blending different teachings and practices leads to new insights. This dynamic interplay results in a richer and more diverse spiritual understanding. The blending of different teachings to gain new insights emphasizes the value of diverse perspectives. This triad implies that combining various spiritual teachings can lead to richer and more profound understanding. The lesson is to be open to learning from multiple sources, blending their wisdom to create a more nuanced and comprehensive spiritual perspective. Conflicting beliefs create division and hinder spiritual progress, as warned by Saint Germain. He writes, "When our beliefs are in conflict, it prevents us from achieving true understanding and enlightenment." This division triad shows how conflicts in beliefs create division, illustrating the need for coherence in spiritual practice. Conflicting beliefs create division and hinder spiritual progress, illustrating the importance of coherence in one's spiritual path. The conflicts created by divided beliefs highlight the importance of resolving contradictions. This triad implies that conflicting beliefs can create division and hinder spiritual progress. The lesson is to work towards resolving conflicts and contradictions in one's beliefs, seeking coherence and unity to promote a more stable and effective spiritual practice. Saint Germain highlights the interdependence of spiritual concepts. He states, "Understanding the connections between different spiritual teachings can lead to deeper insights and greater wisdom." This association triad illustrates how the interdependence of concepts leads to new realizations, deepening one's spiritual insight. The interdependence of spiritual concepts leads to new realizations. Understanding how concepts are associated helps deepen one's spiritual insight. The interdependence of spiritual concepts suggests that understanding one aspect can illuminate others. This triad implies that recognizing the connections between different teachings can lead to deeper insights. The lesson is to explore and understand the interconnections between various spiritual concepts, using this interdependence to enhance overall understanding and growth. A lack of integration in spiritual practice leads to incomplete understanding, as noted by Germaine. He writes, "Without integrating various aspects of spirituality, our understanding remains fragmented and incomplete." This disassociation triad shows how a lack of integration leads to incomplete understanding, emphasizing the need for a cohesive approach to spiritual practice. A lack of integration in spiritual practice leads to incomplete understanding, emphasizing the need for a cohesive and integrated approach. The lack of integration in spiritual practice highlights the dangers of fragmented understanding. This triad implies that without integration, spiritual knowledge remains incomplete. The lesson is to ensure that various aspects of spirituality are integrated into a cohesive whole, promoting a complete and unified approach to spiritual practice. Saint Germain emphasizes the importance of integrating various aspects of spirituality to achieve a holistic understanding. He states true enlightenment comes from integrating knowledge, wisdom, and practice into a unified whole. This integration triad shows how integrating different aspects leads to a holistic understanding, reinforcing the interconnected nature of spiritual insights. Integrating various aspects of spiritual practice leads to a holistic understanding, reinforcing the interconnected nature of spiritual insights. The importance of integrating various aspects of spirituality to achieve holistic understanding emphasizes the value of a comprehensive approach. This triad implies that true enlightenment comes from a unified perspective. The lesson is to actively work towards integrating knowledge, wisdom, and practices into a coherent whole, fostering a deeper and more complete spiritual understanding. Saint Germain warns about the dangers of fragmented spiritual knowledge. He writes, "Fragmented understanding leads to confusion and prevents true enlightenment." This disintegration triad illustrates how fragmentation leads to confusion, highlighting the need for a unified and comprehensive approach to spiritual practice. Fragmentation of spiritual knowledge leads to confusion and lack of progress, highlighting the importance of a unified and comprehensive approach to spiritual practice. The fragmentation of spiritual knowledge underscores the need for a unified approach. This triad implies that fragmented understanding leads to confusion and hinders enlightenment. The lesson is to avoid fragmentation by seeking to integrate and unify different aspects of spiritual knowledge, promoting clarity and progress on the spiritual path. Through the lens of the provided triads, universal metaphysics can be seen as a work that intertwines esoteric knowledge, philosophical inquiry, and practical alchemy. Each element reinforces and is interdependent on the others, creating a balanced and interconnected framework. This exploration reveals the deep connections between spiritual wisdom, philosophical thought, and practical application, emphasizing the holistic nature of the teachings attributed to the Count of Saint Germain. This triadic analysis highlights how the book serves as a guide to understanding and integrating these three critical aspects of esoteric tradition.